everyone, and welcome back to our channel. I'm Sarah, and today, we're going to talk about a very important topic, handling emergencies and seeking help. Emergencies can happen to anyone, anywhere, and being prepared can make a huge difference. Not only will we talk about what to do in an emergency, but I'll also be explaining some useful English vocabulary, grammar points, idioms, and phrases that can help you communicate effectively in these situations. So, let's dive right in. First, let's start by talking about what we mean when we say emergency. An emergency is any situation that requires immediate attention and action. This could be a medical emergency, like someone having a heart attack, or it could be a natural disaster, like an earthquake. In English, the word emergency itself is a noun, and it's often used with the verb to handle, as in, to handle an emergency, or to deal with an emergency. Now, when you find yourself in an emergency, the first thing you should do is stay calm. I know this is easier said than done, but panicking can make the situation worse. There's an idiom in English that goes, keep a cool head. This means to remain calm and not get overly emotional, even when things are stressful. For example, you might say, in an emergency, it's important to keep a cool head. Next, you need to assess the situation. This means figuring out what's going on and what needs to be done. The verb assess is a formal way to say evaluate or analyze. You might use it in a sentence like, it's important to assess the situation before taking action. Once you've assessed the situation, it's time to seek help. This is where your communication skills become crucial. Knowing how to ask for help in English can be life-saving. The most basic and direct way to ask for help is to simply say, help, or I need help. If you need someone to call emergency services, you can say, call 911 if you're in the United States, or call an ambulance if it's a medical emergency. Let's talk a bit about grammar here. When asking for help, we often use imperative sentences. Imperative sentences are used to give commands or make requests. For example, call the police, or get the first aid kit. These sentences don't have a subject like I or you, but it's understood that the command is directed at someone. In some cases, you might need to give more specific information. For instance, if there's been an accident, you might say, there's been an accident, or someone is injured. Here, we're using the present perfect tense, there has been, to describe a recent event that is still relevant. Now, let's say you're the one experiencing a medical emergency. It's important to know how to describe your symptoms clearly. You could say, I'm having chest pain, or I feel dizzy. The word dizzy means that you feel like the room is spinning, and you might lose your balance. It's also useful to know the difference between pain and ache. Pain is usually sharp and intense, while an ache is more of a dull, persistent discomfort, like a headache or a backache. If you're asking someone else about their condition, you can use the question form, are you okay, or what's wrong? Notice the use of are in these questions, this is the present simple tense, which we use to ask about general or current states. In more serious situations, you might hear or use the phrase life-threatening. This adjective describes something that could cause death if not treated immediately. For example, a heart attack is a life-threatening condition. Understanding these terms can help you convey the urgency of the situation. When help arrives, whether it's a paramedic, police officer, or firefighter, they might ask you what happened. This is your chance to provide a clear, concise explanation. You could say, we were driving when we hit a patch of ice, and the car skidded off the road, or, I found him unconscious on the floor. The word unconscious means not awake and not aware of what's happening. It's the opposite of a conscious, which means awake and aware. Now, let's talk about idioms related to emergencies. One common idiom is a close call. This means a situation where something bad almost happened, but was avoided at the last moment. For example, it was a close call, but we managed to get out of the burning building just in time. Another useful phrase is, better safe than sorry. This means it's better to take precautions, even if they seem unnecessary, than to face the consequences of not being prepared. For instance, I always carry a first aid kit in my car, better safe than sorry. In situations where you need to give reassurance, you might say, everything's going to be okay, or help is on the way. These phrases can comfort someone who is scared or in pain. The word reassurance itself is a noun that means the act of giving someone confidence or comfort in a stressful situation. If you're the one helping someone else, it's important to stay positive and supportive. You might use phrases like, "You're doing great," or "I just hang in there." The phrase "hang in there" is an idiom that means to keep going, even when things are tough. Finally, once the emergency is over, it's important to follow up. This means checking in on the person who was involved, or following up with any necessary medical care or reports. You might say, "I'll follow up with you later to see how you're doing," or "Make sure to follow up with your doctor." As we wrap up, remember that handling emergencies is not just about knowing what to do, it's also about being able to communicate effectively. The vocabulary, grammar, and phrases we've discussed today are essential tools that can help you in critical situations. Whether you're asking for help, giving instructions, or providing comfort, clear communication can make all the difference. Thank you for joining me today. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Stay safe, and remember, it's always better to be prepared.